we don't need roads.
An honor to see you, man. Seriously, you're absolutely incredible on this. So thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
I really want to know how long after you got the part did you stand in front of a mirror and start practicing the thumbs up, thumbs down?
That's something that Joe and I shared anxiety about. You know, there's those lines and those moments, if they're connected to a kind of legacy, that you, even though you're an actor in this, you can't help but be aware of it as a viewer. It's so iconic. And so I think our trick was to not dwell on it and just focus on the characters and have it arrive through the characters. Because I think if I started to do work in the mirror, I would have gone actually insane, not just as a character, but as me, a person, Fred, here.
Because that's the thing, like, as silly as this seems, when you know everyone's going to be watching how you do it, it takes a very insignificant thing and all of a sudden makes it a bigger deal than you think it's going to.
Totally, yeah. It's like when you're a kid and you learn about breathing and you're like, wait, am I breathing right? Like, it's such a basic, unconscious thing, but you start to get too involved on that. So yes.
You know, so many great leaders, or maybe sometimes terrible leaders, oftentimes question, what do the people before me, what would they have thought of me, or what would they do in this scenario? What do you think Commodus would think of you and your brother?
I think that sense of legacy is very scary to Caracalla and Gaeta. I think Gaeta is the more neurotic one in terms of trying to preserve something, trying to win and be deemed the best. But similar to the thumbs up and thumbs down, I think that awareness of the past is very scary to leaders, especially leaders that are more interested in their historical memory and their money and their fame than actually serving or helping the people that they're supposed to protect.
For sure. Well, this is a big follow-up question, but I want you to imagine you're sitting in a movie theater. They're about to play Gladiator 2, and Joaquin Phoenix sits down next to you. And when it's over, you can lean over and go, all right, what do you think about how we did this? What is an aspect that you would just, out of curiosity as an actor, love to get his thoughts on?
Oh, I think he's such an enormously beautiful actor, always. But the hypothetical that you set up only terrifies me. I think I would say I'm going to the bathroom and I would just run. It sounds like too much.
2.5 hours later,
intense.
he's going, where is he?
Too intense for someone that I think is so wonderful.
Fair enough. You know, I do this thing as a movie fan. I've seen the original Gladiator, as we all have, a million times. But whenever I know I'm going to do interviews for part 2, I rewatch it through the prism of, okay, I need to watch this for work. I need to kind of pick it apart. I need to come up with stuff. I want to talk about the first time you rewatched the original after getting this part. And I'm assuming you'd watched it a million times before, but how was that rewatch different after you sort of were maybe looking for things?
I'll be honest. I'd seen it countless times before, but once this became an opportunity and a reality, I really felt that the best way to approach it was to focus on the task at hand and to really give our heart and soul and all of our focus into these characters and into this story. I similar actually to a lot of your questions, I think the awareness of legacy is something that comes before and after the fact. But in the actual process of making something, the focus and demand is so present that didn't feel like it was especially helpful.
So was there a conscious moment where you had to say, okay, either I'm going to rewatch it or I'm not, or was it just something that never came to you?
I think it was a kind of organic decision. There was a feeling of, would that be helpful? And then the more I started to work on the script, talked to Ridley, and then I met Joe and we started working, it kind of slipped away.
By nature of you being in this movie and Ridley being at the top of his game, you have now been in some of the best Ridley Scott scenes. I'm a huge movie fan. You're a huge movie fan. What is another great Ridley Scott cinematic moment that just as an actor you would have loved to have been a part of?
I think the way that he sets up the hotel rooms in Thelma and Louise, the back and forth between Thelma and Louise and their respective love affairs in that moment, I think is some of the greatest editing in film I've ever seen. You're so connected to both those characters, but you're also so aware of how they're kind of having these experiences in relation to one another. I just think it's an amazing sequence.
And you're so right, because I feel like it's easy to go to his big, loud, bombastic block, but like he does that. I always go like Matchstick Men.
Oh my gosh,
Just,
yeah.
I mean,
oh
he
my
does,
gosh,
he does
Sam
quiet.
Rockwell.
Yes,
I love Nick.
Yes.
Cage. I've worked with and is one of my favorite actors. He's incredible in that film, and Sam Rockwell in that movie. Oh my gosh,
it's one of his best performances, which is saying a lot for
He's
Sam Rockwell.
one of the greats.
I'll cut you loose on this.
Yeah.
You've worked with some truly great directors in your career. Now adding Ridley Scott to the list, we got Barry Jenkins and Joe Wright, Paul Greengrass.
Yeah.
What do obviously different filmmakers, different styles, different films. Is there a commonality? What is something that you notice that all great directors have?
Truly, the only thing is their one-of-a-kindness. I think one of the great things about directing is there's no one way, and you have to be true to yourself. So when someone feels like they're a full expression of their interests, their desires, their, those kind of qualities, that makes a great director. I feel that there's no copy and paste method. Like I've worked with great directors who give no notes. I've worked with great directors who you talk all day about the character. It really is specific to the story and the sort of personal soul of the filmmaker.
I just sat down with Ridley, Paul, and as I sat down, I said, "Sir, the movie's a masterpiece," and he gave me the best response ever. He goes, "I know, I made it." Which I was like, yes, that's fantastic. Hey, man, seriously, what an honor, man. Seriously,
Nice to
thank you
meet
so
you.
much for your time. I know you have a busy day, so your time really does mean a lot to me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your questions.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.